In the early 1980s, long before the internet carried every strange story across the world, people whispered about a nightmare that did not end. It began quietly in a small American city where several people fell asleep one night and never truly woke up again. Their bodies remained alive in hospital beds, breathing slowly with their eyes closed, but their minds were gone somewhere no doctor could reach. Families said the victims screamed in their sleep before falling silent forever. Nurses working the night shift claimed the patients sometimes whispered the same words over with their eyes still shut. "Don't fall deeper." The newspapers called it a medical mystery, but the streets gave it another name. The deep dream, an urban legend about a nightmare so deep that once a person enters it, they fall through layer after layer of terror until something ancient below the human mind claims them. One of the first people said to enter the deep dream was a young African-American man named Daniel. In 1986, Daniel was a quiet man who lived alone in a small apartment building. His neighbors said he began suffering from terrible nightmares every night. They heard him shouting and running around his apartment while he slept. One night, the screams stopped. When police forced open the door, they found Daniel lying on the floor, breathing slowly but completely unconscious. Doctors said his brain activity looked like he was dreaming constantly, as if his mind was trapped somewhere it could not escape. Over the following weeks, Daniel's body never woke up again, but nurses working the late shift swore they sometimes heard him whispering in the darkness. They claimed Daniel repeated the same warning again and again. It gets worse the deeper you go. After Daniel, the stories spread across the country. People spoke about a nightmare that begins normally but quickly becomes something far more terrifying. The dreamer believes they wake up, but they have only fallen into another dream. Each dream becomes darker, more twisted, more violent than the one before. Every time the victim tries to escape, the nightmare simply opens another door and pulls them further down. According to the legend, at the very bottom of these dreams lives something ancient that feeds on fear itself. The deeper the dreamer falls, the closer they come to waking that thing. For decades, the story faded into rumor. Many believed it was nothing more than an urban myth from the 1980s. In the present day, a busy city gym filled with music and clanging weights, a man named Sam begins to experience the same nightmare. Sam is an African-American fitness trainer known for his strength and discipline. He wakes before sunrise every day to train clients and lives a healthy life that leaves little room for fear. But lately, sleep has become something he dreads. For the past 2 weeks, Sam has been waking up exhausted with memories of disturbing dreams that feel too real to ignore. Every night the dreams become darker, like something is slowly pulling him deeper. One night, after a long shift at the gym, Sam finally collapses into bed from exhaustion. The moment his eyes close, the nightmare begins instantly. He finds himself standing inside his own bedroom, but something feels wrong. The room is longer than it should be, the walls stretching outward like rubber, slowly breathing in and out. The ceiling pulses like a living lung above his head. The light bulb flickers violently before going completely still. Then a loud cracking sound echoes behind him like a bone snapping in half. Sam slowly turns and sees a tall shape standing in the far corner of the room. The figure looks human at first, but its limbs bend backward at impossible angles, and its arms drag along the floor. Its face has no eyes, only smooth skin and a massive mouth that slowly spreads open, wider than a human jaw could ever stretch. In a wet whisper, the creature says his name. Sam runs toward the bedroom door and throws it open in pure panic. Instead of escaping the room, Sam runs into a long hallway that stretches endlessly into darkness. Hundreds of doors line the walls on both sides, and every door is slightly open. Inside each room, something moves in the shadows. Shapes twitch and crawl behind the cracks in the doors like they are watching him pass. As Sam walks forward, the lights above him begin shutting off behind his back one by one. Click. Another light dies. Click. Another goes dark. The hallway behind him slowly becomes a wall of darkness swallowing everything. Sam begins running as the sound of footsteps echoes behind him. But the footsteps are not his. They are heavier, slower, dragging across the floor. When Sam glances into one of the open rooms, he freezes in horror. Inside sits an old classroom filled with mannequins placed at school desks facing a chalkboard. Slowly, every mannequin head turns toward the door at the exact same moment. Their plastic faces split open with dry, cracking sounds, and a wave of screaming erupts from their mouths as the hallway lights explode and darkness devours everything around him. Sam falls through the darkness and suddenly finds himself floating underwater in an endless black ocean. The water is freezing, but he can breathe. Beneath him, something massive moves slowly through the darkness below, so enormous that he cannot see its full shape. The water vibrates as it rises. Two gigantic glowing eyes suddenly open beneath him, each eye larger than a car drifting through the deep water. The enormous creature begins swimming upward toward him. Sam tries to escape, but hundreds of pale human hands emerge from the darkness below, grabbing his legs and pulling him downward. The massive creature opens its mouth, and Sam sees row after row of human teeth stretching endlessly inside its throat. Sam suddenly jerks upright in his bed, gasping for air and clutching his chest. His bedroom looks normal again. The walls are still. The light is steady. Relief floods through him as he whispers that it was only a nightmare. But then the television across the room slowly turns on by itself. Static fills the screen and begins twisting into shapes. Slowly, the static forms a face, an eyeless face with a massive mouth spreading across the screen. The face looks exactly like the description in the old hospital reports from 1986. The face nurses claimed Daniel described in his sleep. The creature smiles through the television and whispers in a distorted voice, "You're almost as deep as he was." The floor beneath him suddenly cracks open like thin ice, and he plunges once again into the endless darkness of the deep dream, where Sam floats in a void that had no ground, no sky, only endless black space filled with crawling shapes. Creatures made of bones, shadows, and twisted limbs move across the darkness like insects. Some drag chains made of teeth, while others crawl with long spider legs scraping across nothingness. One creature crawls close enough for Sam to see its face clearly. The face belongs to Daniel, the man from the 1980s who never woke up. But Daniel's eyes are gone, and his mouth stretches into an unnatural smile. Hundreds of other creatures slowly surround Sam and begin whispering the same words again and again until the entire darkness vibrates with their voices. "You will never wake up." Suddenly, the creatures fall silent as something far larger moves beneath the darkness itself. The void trembles violently, like the ground during an earthquake. In the far distance, two colossal shapes slowly open like massive doors in blackness. It was eyes, unimaginably huge and glowing, faintly like dying stars. Even the monsters shrank away in fear as the ancient presence awakens. Sam realizes every nightmare he experienced was only a layer pulling him toward the bottom of the deep dream, where something ancient has been waiting way longer than humans ever dreamed. The giant eyes slowly focus on him, and a voice older than the world echoed in his mind like thunder rolling through the earth. The voice tells him that Daniel was only the beginning, and that every dreamer eventually falls far enough to wake what sleeps below. Sam tries to scream, but his body begins dissolving into the darkness as the nightmare absorbs him piece by piece. His eyes fade away, his face stretches into a slow, unnatural smile, and his voice disappears into the endless whispering void. Somewhere in the waking world, another exhausted person finally closes their eyes to sleep. And deep below every dream ever dreamed, Sam now stands beside Daniel in the darkness, waiting patiently for the next dreamer to fall deeper into the nightmare where no one has ever woken up again.